What is up, ladies and germs? Welcome back for another episode of We Draft Paper. Today, we are indulging ourselves with some pre-release actual draft. So I was invited to play with some of the local people around here. Some of them have notable names like Brian Boss and Adam Boyd. Some people that are just really involved in the Kansas City area as far as competitive Magic, and I was lucky enough for them to ask me to play some draft, as they know I draft a lot, and that is what my thing is. And it was nice. They're getting ready for some tournaments coming up. I think they got a Spotlight series coming up soon, anyways. But yeah, it's exciting stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys like what we do here, once again, I'm MTG Flux. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate all the love, and thank you so much. So enjoy the video. All right, friends, here we are. So I am quite going into this draft blind. This is right after the pre-release weekend, on the Monday after pre-release weekend. And we are just doing cool. Let's get in there and see what we can get ourselves into. This deck ended up being really sweet. I knew its weak points, and I ran into a couple matchups with those weak points with some pretty quality players coming through. But yeah, so here we get an elemental incarnation of the Gruul variety. So like if you tap 2 in it while paying 2 red for paying its mana, you get to deal 3 damage to any target. And then if you pay 2 green while paying for its mana, you get to search 2 lands, or you get to search a land and put it into your hand, a basic land, and then you gain 2 life. So really this is my first pick, and quality card, feel real great. I'm trying to get a nice understanding on it, and making sure that I get to build around this a little bit. I know that there is I don't want to say fringe build around on elementals, but I know there are enough to support it in this set. So feel really good about a first pick here. This draft may take a little longer in between picks, as most of the people at the table are just trying to get used to the cards just like me. So I feel really good about starting in a place where, okay, I got a really strong card, and let's try to see where this takes us. I did learn a lot within drafting this. We did 2 drafts, and I did learn a lot on both, on what works and what kind of doesn't. There was a 2 mana 1/3 elemental, blue elemental creature that whenever it died, I can draw a card, which honestly, I wish I had more of those in this deck, looking back in retrospect. I do, so I'm looking for elementals and those things. I take the Oof, which is the hybrid Simic, hybrid Simic in 2. And basically what it does, it has a Vivid ability, one of the mechanics in the set where Vivid is like domain. You have to have permanence of certain colors to trigger more of a vivid thing. And the Oof here, what it does, it plus X based off of how many. So X creatures get plus X based off of how many color type permanents you have. So I'm like, cool. That seems like a cool thing to put into like an elemental space, because already picking the incarnation, I fully expect to be like multiple colors, more than 2, to try to get an effect, especially when I'm considering like vivid mechanics. I kind of went into this draft almost expecting to be 5 colors, because those of you that watch this TV show understand that I just like taking. Sometimes you just got to take good cards, and sometimes that's going to spread into your other colors. I do think in elementals, based off of like my small amount of previewing, I know that I can extend some of my color bases to try to do bigger things and more impactful things. I will say that the incarnation, the elemental incarnation of Gruul that I picked up, was really good, and I had cards that copy triggered abilities of it, which that came up a few times. That actually won me quite a bit of games. I ended up going 1-2. Round one, I went up against goblins, like a really good goblins deck with nice persist synergies, and so like that was tough. I ended up losing in 3, and then in round 2, I lost against like an incredibly high synergistic Kithkin deck. But I ended up getting a game. There was a combo off things that I had going on, which was really, really good. But basically, it was a scoop to like being incredibly far ahead, getting double triggers. They weren't able to deal with my what I had going on. So it was really nice. It was almost like a combo off, just with exponential value with the incarnation and the double triggering of those incarnations, which I'll show you as well. Puka's Eye actually matters in this deck. I may not take it in this spot. Yeah, I don't think I took it in this spot, but that 2-mana artifact, draw a card and it becomes a color that you choose really did matter to get like full vivid value. And if you have all 5 colors, you get to tap 3 and draw a card, which in late game was relevant. I think I probably drew off it like 3 or 4 times this draft. So notably so, like that was a thing. So I'm kind of putting 2 and 2 together at this point. I will say the Scarecrow, the 1/3 Scarecrow for 2, it has a filter. So ETBs surveil 1s, and then it also has a tap a colorless and basically filter a mana, and this creature becomes the color of the filtered mana cost, or the filtered mana, like what you chose to filter your mana into. For Vivid decks, that card is a must include. Really, really good. This deck was so fun that I may be just pushing this land. Super important. This was a kind of a tough pick because I also wanted the mana dork as well. But the land actually was huge as far as being able to cast my spells. Ultimately, I was a 4-color deck that had applications of getting my 5th color and permanents with the Pukas, whatever it is. And the Fearlock Core is not even a bad option either, but we take this land here to make sure our fixing's right. Because I can already tell you that, like, just based off my first picks, like, I think I even said at this moment in time, like, guys, we're going deep, and deep is where we're going. So, but yeah, those Scarecrows is like incredibly important if you want these multicolor decks, because it filters mana and it becomes a color of your choosing to help support your Vivid payoffs. So probably one of the best cards in my deck. So pretty good. This combat trick gives haste, trample, and draws a card for 1 red. Like, really good. That card, any goblins deck, any red goblins deck, and what's the other one that touches red? But any rate, like, really, really good. Like, it's just a very aggressive card. But it's probably going to see some standard playable stuff going on in it too. The card's just good. I waffle here. I actually think I should have stuck with my original pick, the Bloom whatever, that keeps target creature tapped down. And the enchantment aura that just kind of keeps it pinned down. Spell Snare is not even a bad choice here. But I love the Wayfinder change lane, which does matter for elemental. This is the Scarecrow that I was talking about. Super, super good. I actually may pass it here. I think I took the giant. But at any rate, yeah, I think. So I was also looking just to be like green base, right? And so I think that's where it kind of pulled me off that giant. I do not end up playing that giant, um, but we're getting some stuff. I was looking at the interaction part of this. So like this first, was it Assert Perfection card is gives +1/+0 and then bites another creature, um, which is like I needed something at this point, especially when I just passed like more or less good removal. The Growth is also not a bad card neither because I'm looking to play a lot of creatures, looking to pump through, gives me some card advantage as well. But I think I just take the Bite spell for the sake of just more reliable interaction. So, had a little combat trick there. Here, pretty sure it's just an elf. I'm just double checking my typal stuff. But also considering some combat tricks, understanding that I'm probably going to have a lot of creatures in this as well. Do I feel good after this first pack? I feel like I have some good cards and some things that are just going to be like getting in my way, so to speak. But at the very least, I'll take green cards, kind of keep that locked away and try to cut that off as much as possible. I don't play them, but we got a elemental 3/2 reach, and then I think whenever it dies, you exile a card off the top of your library. You can play until the end of next turn or something. So it's not nothing. Some card advantage and blocks well and reach. More importantly, I feel like with some merfolk and fairies, like reach is just kind of important. So, and that was more or less just an assumption, just based off of the kindred options that are there. So feel good. Deck. I do think the deck is a 2/1 deck. In a different pod, I think could be a 3/0 deck, but I'm also drafting with like some heavy hitters, some people that know what they're doing, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I ended up taking that. What is it? A 3/3 five colorless 3/3 changeling flyer that I think gains some life and maybe exiles a couple cards out of a graveyard over the removal spell. I guess that would be considered my first like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Didn't even end up playing that card and so on. So let's see what we can get into going into pack 2. Like I said, I do feel good about where I'm at. I feel like I got good cards. Card quality is high. I'm just hoping I get some more payoffs here. So we get a little +2/+2 hexproof kind of combat trick here. We also get a rare that I'm not quite interested in. It's an enchantment that you can't draw cards or gain life. But then we got Mirror Form. This card had some busted applications in this deck. Busted. Like, a lot of my cards have like ETB effect or attack effects and like just like a lot of cool things going on. There's a lot of different things I could copy because what it does, it turns all non-aura permanents, non-aura, non-land permanents into a copy of target creature. So got some big applications. I do like this, the Noggle. The Noggle is a really nice card too. It enters or dies, gives me a treasure token, which in this kind of deck is really, really good. A, it fixes. B, it ramps. Like, there's some cool things going on, and half the time it's a quality body that I can just trade off. So 3/3 for 3 that has that text on it is fine by me. All right. Get into a little bit deeper into pack two. This is a payoff. Prism something. It's a 6/6 trampler and has vivid. And it gives target creature +X and trample, I think, to another creature you got. And like really, really good. It's like, well, seems like a good vivid payoff top end. And there's a couple times I run into some ops. This is a really good card, the Luminol Hulk or Luminor Hulk or something like that. It's a 2/4 Death Touch creature with Vivid, and then you gain life based off of how many color permanents you have. So it just seems like another Vivid payoff. I'm starting getting fed here, which is nice. I feel like I cut off well, and I'm getting rewarded from this side of the table. This is a nice card. Definitely was considering it, but I think I end up seeing some gas here that really made me just kind of skip that whole process. What did I take? Yeah, here we go. Twin Flame Traveler. So it double triggers elemental abilities, which I have a lot of them at this point. I did have to skip up on the Eclipse, whatever it is, the other is a card, but I think like this is what I'm doing. I think this is going to have a higher upside. So decided to go that way. And plus 4 mana, 3/3 flyers, still just great stats, as opposed to a 1/1 or 1/4 on the ground, 3 or 4 drop, whatever it was. I think it was a 3 drop. That little changeling it's a nice little payoff as well. Cinder Strike's actually a nice thing to do here, but I take this. I kind of think, since I'm kind of just doing ramp and getting there kind of stuff, hitting additional, so you get to search your library for X amount of lands. Lands is based off how many permanents, colored permanents you have. And then you also get to hit additional land drops. So I thought there was some value there. I actually don't remember if I played it or not. We'll see when I post the final deck picture towards the end of the video. But yeah, really happy how this is going off. I'm now seeing some payoffs, and I'm getting rewarded for cutting off kind of my elemental thing, and then also green as well. So I feel like I'm just getting some of those payoffs. The thing about elementals, it's more of a direct archetype, and I don't think everyone's going to catch on to it right away. But I do think there's space for some powerful decks to come out of this, especially early in the format. And this is also another big thing, that early in the format, you're going to be able to get away and do some like hidden archetypal things, and kind of go into some synergies until people find out this card's great. The Tanafel, like Rhyme Speaker, I think it is. Whenever you cast a creature or a card for 4 mana or greater, draw a card. Also really, really good with double elemental triggering abilities, or with the Twin Flame Travelers. So that was really nice as well. But yeah, so like as the format goes on, like some of those really good people discover what are the really good archetypes. They get shown very, like everyone starts drafting it. So it's going to be less played as times goes on. This is a easy. The biggest problem with this deck was I didn't have 2 drops. Like I needed early plays and I didn't. I was kind of like stuffed in my 3 and 4 drop slot. But I needed some 2 mana things, like the blue elemental that when it dies draws a card, that 1/3. I would have took 2 or 3 more of those, or the more scarecrows. The scarecrows were kind of just gas in my deck. So for people that are drafting this deck, like the elementals things, those are like elementals vivid kind of mechanics and typal. The scarecrows and those little 2-drop blue elemental 1/3s. So I think it's super important to kind of like know what early plays you want to, because I think they're going to be taken quite highly as this set grows. Nice little removal spell. I know I don't like leaving them with a 1/1, but I feel like something that gets rid of exiles is going to be really good here. There's a lot of dying effect stuff going on in this set, so understanding that my mana is looking like, or like the direction of my deck is heading is looking at multicolor. I'm especially late in the pack, seeing a nice removal spell like that is splashable at the very least. Which I ended up being teamer splashing white for that one removal spell. But I think it's super important to consider that as well. Yeah, feeling good about where we're at this point. It's going to be really nice to see how we can finish this up, and we'll get into all that. It's just going to rare draft here, I believe. Yeah, I think I do. So yeah, in retrospect, I should have took the 2-drop, but I didn't, because going into pack 3, it's when I'm just like, oh man, I really need to fill my 2-drop slot, because the Scarecrow, the 1/3 Scarecrow that can filter to change its color is super great, and the Surveil 1 is not nothing on its ETB, and then the 1/3 Elemental that when it dies draws a card is also a really strong thing that can help this deck by staying up on card advantage. So prioritizing those 2-drops, but any 2-drops also to keep me kind of alive, was a very ideal place to be. So let's get into this third pack. Fixing is okay. I got 1 Scarecrow at this point, and I have a Wayfinder, and I think I have the Mana Rock at this point. I have the Noggle, which makes a treasure token. So fixing's looking like suitably okay. Wish it was a little bit better, but we're still feeling fine. We have our Travelers, or is it 3/3 flyer that doubles my triggers? That's what I'm doing. I'm committed to that lane. So feeling fine. So my matches ended up going in the way of, I mentioned on my first 2 rounds, I went up against Goblins first match. That was tough. I lost in 3. And then I went up against Kithkin, lost in 3 again. I think I could have won that if playing a little bit differently. I probably could have won that one. And then I get paired up because those 2 people I lost to ended up being undefeated throughout the whole draft and played each other. So my breakers were really good, as far as like when I mean breakers is like, if you lose to someone that doesn't lose, like those are higher percentages for that bolster you, even though that you lost. So you're going to be, if you only lose to the best players, your percent goes up to where you will stay higher ranked, like in these brackets when they match make people and stuff like that. So I already knew, and I ended up being paired up. So Glen Elendra. So before I finish that story, Glen Elendra here, it's a super nice versatile card. I know it's a fairy, it's a fairy, I believe. But it's a 3/4 fairy for 3 that comes in with Flying Flash, and comes in with a -1/-1 counter. Because there's Blight synergies, and Blight's usually around the Goblin space, but there's also some payoffs in all of the archetypes and colors. But you get to tap 1 and a blue to counter target, I think, non-creature spell. And by removing a counter off of Glenelendril. So, really strong card. And then I get past the Sunderflock. Elemental, 9 mana, 5/5 flyer. And it costs less, equal to the mana value among elementals I control. And what it does, it basically bounces all non-elemental creatures. So all my shapeshifters and elementals do not leave the battlefield, and it's a one-sided board wipe, assuming that they're not playing elementals. Obviously, their changelings and all that stuff would stay, but more often than not, I'm going to cast that for 4 or 5 based off the cards that I have, and it was really, really good on all the other times. So back to all my matches. Going into the third round, I went up against. I got paired up against a Merfolk deck that they were 1-1. So we had really, really good games, but I was able to do some gross things with my 3/3 flyers. This was an interesting pick. Like, I picked up this green 4-drop that's 2/4 Death Touch with Vivid, and whenever it enters, it's an uncommon. Whenever it enters, I gain life equal to the number of colored permanents I have in the battlefield. So another Vivid payoff, keeping me alive. That's kind of what I'm thinking. In a 2/4 Death Touch body is pretty cool. I'll be able to, that played out really, really well. So, feeling good about that. But yeah, that Merfolk matchup that I had was it was good in the sense we did go to 3 games, but I ended up getting there. We get another Travelers here, so I have 2 of the double triggering, but there's also a Scarecrow here. But I'd lean into the Travelers bit, which I don't regret this pick in passing the Scarecrow, but the Scarecrow I really, really needed. Any rate, but he had some timely counter spells that I was playing around with, or playing around of actively throughout our matches, that were like nice payoffs there. Here we get another 6/6 Trampler with Vivid, +X based off of the whatever Vivid is of the colored permanents you have in play. So, also another great payoff. We're getting our payoffs now, and it's this pack 2, or the beginning of pack 2, and then the beginning of pack 3 was really, really nice for us. So, feel good about the spot. Yeah, this was a really fun deck. This was it was hard to navigate, but I feel like the archetype that I'm building around kind of touches, like, there's cards that you want to expect that could work in there, to work in there. Like the Scarecrows, I think the Scarecrows was in here to support Vivid, which is good. But just like the Mana Rocks, that turns into a 4/4 Changelings. All the different kinds of Changelings out there, or Shapeshifters, I think that's cool applications to put into a set, to where you don't feel like super tunnel vision, like you got to stay lessons or like firebending or waterbending or whatever have you. Like, I feel like it's less narrow and more room for creativity and fun things that you can do for the set. So I am excited for the draft portion of that and building some pretty sweet decks. However, I'm going to try to be pushing this Vivid deck as long as I can, because until it catches on, I do think it's going to be really, really strong in a limited space. So as we kind of get through this is Maryland. I did a pre-release event where we opened a box and built a commander deck out of it. I don't play much commander, but when you put it in a limited format, kind of like they did, I'm all about that. That deck was freaking sweet. But I was against 3 of the Abzan commanders, and I was on Maryland, which Maryland is a fairy elf, and every time you play one, target player opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library, and I get to play those for free. once a turn, but come to find out, stealing other people's stuff is pretty rude in a commander sense. So, but had a lot of fun here. I opted to take just the protection aura spell. I don't think I play it, but it was really good. This was this is probably the toughest pick of the draft right here, because we have the sapling nursery, which is a 8 mana affinity for forest enchantment. And basically what it is has landfall, make a 3/4 reach tree folk. And so like you can just start going crazy off that, but I also get a land, which is super important for this deck, because my fixing is almost okay, but this land kind of was a step up, because most of my cards are elementals, and having a multicolor land like that is super beneficial. I think there's an argument for both picks. I take the land because you can name elemental and just have a multicolor land in that sense. I passed it to a guy that already had a sapling nursery, so he had 2 of them, and he also took the Maryland. So he's like mono green splashing Maryland, like a double splash kind of thing going on. That's on him. But we get a Summit Sentinel here, 2-drop premium right now in the spot that we're in. So less terrified that I'm getting some late 2-drops here. So feel good. It was good. It was good. God, these guys were so fun to play with. Really nice guys that we got to play with during this. This was really cool. I was very fortunate to be asked to play in this. I just like playing with. It's also nice just like being acknowledged that you play limited, at a higher level than most, And I had appreciation being asked to play. So shout out to you, Brian Boss, for getting me in on this. And yes, I will do it again. But yeah, that's basically the deck, guys. If you got, we get our Scarecrow here, which is like, it basically saved the draft. I would call it. I think this deck was a 2-1 potential 3-0 deck for the card quality that we had in it. But sometimes you have to take your beats. They were all good matches. I think I had one non-game of just like not hit my land stuff or a greedy keep, and that's on me. It's not on the deck itself. That being said, I appreciate you guys watching this TV series with me. It's my favorite thing to do in this space of YouTube. So if you guys like this, please like, comment, subscribe. Here is the deck list if you guys want to check it out. This deck is freaking sweet. We got a lot of cool things going on, and I encourage you guys to try a cool archetype like Vivid/Elementals when you get into your next Lorwyn draft. But that's all I got. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. Catch y'all later. Peace.